Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Dragon Hat SMP. Last time we were here, we finished up... Oh, please get out of my chair. We finished up a solar panel, an advanced solar panel, and a wind generator. Just kind of plopped outside, nothing too fancy. Kind of out of place, to be completely honest, but I have plenty of plans and goals for this video. Now, before we get into that, I do first just want to take a moment to thank everybody for watching the first episode. It got a lot more support than I was originally anticipating. It was very good. It made me happy. I appreciate you. You're all fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, on to the goals for today. I've been doing some prep work. I've been getting, a little bit of spoiler there. I've been doing some prep work and getting some things together, getting some things gathered. I've flattened out and deforested the yard outside in preparation for a couple things. And I even have some things up here. Here's the big spoilers. This is what I want to do. I have a couple things that I need to get started on, and one thing that I want to, or two things that I want to do pretty much immediately. And we're already at the point where we can do it. So the first thing is getting a jetpack. These things are awesome. They're hydrogen powered, and they hold a decent amount of fuel, and it's just great for being able to fly up really high and hover, because there's a hover mode, and it's not too expensive. Look at this. So basic chemical tank is probably the most expensive thing, and that is 4 redstone dust and 4 osmium ingots. Pretty cheap. And then there's some tin, a couple bits of steel, and a basic control circuit, and we've got a jetpack. Now, you can upgrade that. Ignore this one. You can upgrade that with 2 diamond dust, a steel block, and 2 bronze ingots, and that gets you an armored variant, which is a pretty decent amount of armor, to be honest. But I don't know. I mean, bronze, the steel is not too bad. We'll think about it. Probably not going to dive right into it, but we'll think about it. But here's the next thing. I need the hydrogen, right? In order to power the jetpack. And the way you get that is with an electrolytic separator. So what this does is it will separate one thing into 2 things. So brine into sodium and chloride or chlorine. But the thing here is, for some reason, seed oil counts water into hydrogen and oxygen. And just the amounts that you would expect. And we'll get into the fancier stuff way down the road. And in order to get all that water, we can use an electric pump, which is just a steel casing, 2 infused alloy, a bucket, and 3 osmium. So pretty cheap. And then another thing I want to get done is this, the purification chamber. In order to make this, I need to make another enrichment chamber. I do need a second one, and I actually kind of forgot about this little bit, so I might have to spend a tiny bit more osmium than I was prepared to. Hopefully that'll be fine, but I pretty much have everything that I need right now, so I'm going to grab all this glass, and I should be able to make... Oh, that's right, I was still producing this. I did a little bit of reorganizing. I've left a hole here, and where's the stuff? It should be right here. Yeah, here's a bunch of infused alloy. That should be all I need. And by the way, if you want to be able to make this stuff a little bit cheaper, you actually see this thing right here, this enriched redstone. You make this by just putting the redstone in an enrichment chamber, and it'll do its little process thing, and it'll turn 1 redstone dust into 1 enriched redstone. Now the difference is, this gives you 10 millibuckets. The dust gives you 10 millibuckets of redstone in here, so see there's 10 left. But if I put an enriched redstone in, it gives 80. So you literally get 8 times the efficiency. It's fantastic. So I do need to grab a couple extra of these. Oh no, I hear a wandering trader. Someone might have to be evicted. But other than that, I think we are pretty much set. Here's some extra osmium I was preparing. And the thing is, the reason I want this purification chamber is, check this out. Let me find, here we go. 1 raw metal of any kind turns into 2 clumps. 1 clump is crushed into dirty dust of the same type. Then that goes through the enrichment chamber to turn the dirty dust into standard dust. And then that can go into a smelter to make the ingot. So it doubles your raw ore, which is really handy. And that's exactly what I'm wanting to do here. But the thing is, if you didn't notice, there's an extra cost. See that? Whenever you're making these, it requires oxygen. And that's why we're making the electrolytic separator. Well, that's half the reason we're making the electrolytic separator. It's a benefit, it's a bonus. The other half is the hydrogen for the jetpack. That's another big thing. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So do I have this? I sure do. So here's the steel casing. And I have everything else. So here's an electric pump. Boom. Even got an advancement for it. That's fantastic. And I made a little space for it. I hope this is a good spot. It might not be, but let's try it. So I'm going to put that right there. Ooh, it wanted to face the other way. I don't have a wrench yet, so things might get a little awkward. There we go. Okay, I'm just connecting it directly into the advanced energy cube, and it's already powered, and look at that, we've already got water in there. Fantastic. And by the way, all machines can be upgraded. If you didn't know, there's an upgrade tab. There's speed upgrade, energy upgrade, muffling upgrade, so they don't make as much noise. Every time you put in a speed upgrade, it increases the energy cost. So there's a balance that you can do. I think it's like 4 speed, 8 energy. I think 8 is the max for any upgrade, is a way to get it like about the same, something like that. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. But yeah, if you want to speed things up and make things a bit more energy efficient, that's how you do it. Now, the next step, the electrolytic separator. I needed this guy, the electrolytic core. I already prepared all the dust ahead of time. There we go. Electrolytic core is done. And then for the electrolytic separator, it's just that. See, it's pretty cheap. Now, I'm going to slap this on the bottom here. I'm hoping... Oh, what is that? I don't know what that's up. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So we have that coming in. Now, the power situation might get a little awkward. I'm not leaving myself a lot of room for maneuvering here, am I? But I'm going to try and just kind of sneak things in the back here. I got a couple extra cables. Going to put that up there. Perfect. So you hear it's turned on. And there we go. So it's producing... it's not... Oh, that uses a lot of power. 160 FE per tick. We're only producing like 70. Now, I have a ton of backlog in this energy cube here, and that's good. Plus in the generators out there. But man, that's expensive. I didn't think about that. Now, another issue here is that I still need to pump these things around, and I don't quite have the ability to turn things yet. So what I'm going to do... Oh, well, first, let's go make the purification chamber, right? So to make the purification chamber, we need an enrichment chamber, which is going to take a little bit more steel. And then I need these 2 basic control circuits, and those were left down. Nope. Here, perfect. We got those. Can I just click from here? Perfect, perfect. We get that done. Enrichment chamber. Now, I thought I had some extras prepared somewhere, but I needed more of those because to make the advanced control circuits, you need the basic control circuits. So that's something I need to figure out real quick. I swear, where did I put them? I had them, didn't I? Or maybe I just gathered the osmium for it. I don't remember. Let's see. I needed just a little bit. That actually should be the perfect amount. So let me get that processed. And in the meantime, what else can I do? I know I was going to need one of these. I'm going to need a basic chemical tank. Da-da-da. And if I can, I'd like to just store that in the back here. Now, problem with this space is that goes back to the leaf, so I might have to swap that around. But there should be a way. It might take some more steel, but I think it's called a pressurized... Basic pressurized tube. Yeah, it's a little bit of steel. This is how you transfer gases. So it's a little bit of steel with some glass, so I might get around to doing that as well. Can I just put it here? Oh, I can. That's so good. Look at that. Already storing the hydrogen. Fantastic. And we have oxygen building up on the side over here. Now, the oxygen, hopefully, I can pull out of the front. Is this? No, that's back. Front is considered input. Let's set that to output. Output 2. I believe that's what we want. And auto eject on. Oh, that wasn't set for gases. Output 1, output 2. Perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is output 2. So then once we have these guys, there we go, then I can do those and these to get my advanced control circuits, and then put those with the enrichment chamber to make the purification chamber. Look at that. And plop that in there. Now we should get the power. It's not pulling the oxygen, so let's do gases. It does say there's an input in the back, or everywhere really, so it's not pulling from this. We are already out of power on this. Please tell me we haven't run out. No, but it's actually made a difference. Ooh, that's scary. But yeah, what's going on with this? So auto eject is on. Oh, that's bottom. That might be the reason. We need at the front. There we go. Did this put the right thing? Yeah, there's the oxygen. Perfect. We have the oxygen. So now I should be able... Oh, and real quick. Items. Output on there. Auto eject on. Make sure this is set to have an input. There we go. Input. Auto eject is on. Input, output. Input, output on the top. Perfect. So, if all this is correct, if I put in 19 osmium ore, I should get 38 out. Now, that's all considering my oxygen keeps up, which hopefully it will, and man, that is not holding on to its power very well for some reason. I wonder why. Why is that? It can certainly pull fast enough, I assume. Maybe too many things are trying to do it all at once. But here we go. We have the clumps. The clumps are creating the dirty dust. The dirty dust is going into the enrichment chamber to make the standard dust, and then that is smelting it, and then it's going to drop off just up here. And there we go. And there's the osmium. How cool is that? So now we're doubling all of our raw metal. That is a big bonus. Now, here's this bit. This is the part that I've been really excited about. This is not a ton of hydrogen, to be honest. I would like to have a lot more, but just to have a little bit at the beginning here is really all I need. So let me grab this, and... Oh, I have 10 left in there. Yeah, give me this. I think that's the only one I need. Oh, I need 20. Fine, I'll be a little inefficient. Yeah, that should be fine. So I need that, and then I'm gonna need that much osmium, which I'm already producing, and a little bit of... Ooh, have I made tin? Did I forget to process my tin? Uh-oh. Well, here's a little bit. And there's a little bit more. It does not look like I've actually processed my tin. That's a shame. Okay, well, this is gonna take a second from the looks of it, because these things... This is where factories start to become important. You make a factory version of the crusher so that it processes 3 at once instead of 1 at once. And then there's upgrades to that and so forth. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to toss in the tin. And I'll be back in just a minute whenever this is processed so that we can get this finished up. Alrighty. I got the tin. My osmium is still pouring in. I decided to go ahead and put that back in. And I also added just a little cable right here, right on top of the cube going into this thing, so that way a little more can go in, and it looks like that fixed my power issue for the most part. So let's go ahead and get this finished up. So I need the jetpack. That's going to require this guy. And, oh, almost forgot. I need this guy too. I can just reach this from right here. And, oh, I forgot about the steel. Ah! There we go. Steel. Goodness. All right. And jetpack. Check it out. Hydrogen-powered flight. That's so exciting. And to get this filled up, you just go into your basic chemical tank where you're storing your hydrogen and just put it in the plus sign. And it'll start pulling in from it and fill that up. I think it can hold a max of 12,000 millibuckets, which is 12 buckets worth. I'm pretty sure that's the case, and I just a little bit over that. This is a little slow, but I will come back to this in a well... Give. And no, it can hold way more than that, maybe 24,000. I'm going to just slap that on, and let me remove that. There we go. And I believe it's G. Is it G? Ooh, that's also the group button, so that's going to need to be taken care of. There. I fixed it. Okay, so we have regular, hover, and disabled. Right now I'm going to have it disabled so I don't waste fuel. Thankfully someone just slept. But let me go outside. I go outside. Okay, so with it disabled, this is what we got. Also, look at this thing. It's so cool. I love it. So you jump around, but then if we set it to regular... Amazing! How cool is this? And it goes pretty high up. And then if I set it to hover, Then we stay... Oh, is it perfectly still now? I think back in the day you would slowly descend. Oh, I guess they changed it. Whee! It has a little bit of a slowdown period, so you gotta be careful with that, but that is fun. Now that also just burned like 1,000 of my 6,000, so it's a little pricey on the hydrogen, but it's gonna help a lot with building. Speaking of helping with building, there's a little structure over here, kinda dumb, doesn't have any purpose, but its shape is what's important here. So if you hold Alt in this mod pack, you get this menu, which I didn't know existed before. And this was done by using the sphere mode, where you would just bring it all the way out. Which it looks like I might have just lost that. But oh, there it goes. It could be a little funny. But yeah, there's the floor version, which is what I was using for this, because I wanted to flatten out the area. And you can just stretch it out. It's not really going to work right now because I don't have more blocks to use. Did I? There it goes. It gets a little bit funny if you only have the one block, but it's a really cool thing. Okay, Mr. Man, what you got over here? Anything important? Wow, wonder what happened to them. That was, they sure left in a hurry. Not sure why. Right, so to go into my next plan, now that we have succeeded goal number 1, let's take a look at goal number 2. So I've been doing a little bit of digging, and I've been finding a problem with this mod pack, and that is resource gathering. Because when I'm used to using tech packs, kitchen sink mod packs, I'm used to quarries and laser drills and all that stuff, and ways to just create tons and tons of ore out of basically nothing. This pack doesn't really have that. It does have the digital miner, which is great. Highly advanced filter-based auto miner that can mine whatever block you tell it to within a 32 block radius max. A little on the pricey side. This is quite steep. Doable eventually, but quite steep. And then it's going to cost a lot of power, I'm sure. I don't really want to do that at the moment. So I found one other thing. One other thing in this pack, and it's in Britannia, and apparently I can't type it. Is it 2 words? It's 2 words. It's called the Ore Child. Or Orchid. Orchid instead of Orchid. Yeah. Maybe it is the Orchid. I don't know. I kept thinking it was Ore Child. But that's what this is. And what this flower does is it will take any stone around it. I think it's in a 5 thick, 5 wide area. So I guess a 5x5 area, maybe bigger. I'd have to double check all the things. And it'll turn that into ore. Now, in the current build of this pack, it only does vanilla ore. So I'm not going to get my osmium, I'm not going to get my tin, but I've been talking with the devs, and they've been talking about how in the previous version that was the case, where you can get the modded ore, and they're going to be updating it. It's not happened yet, but it's going to happen. So that's really cool. The downside, though, there's a cost. First of all, it requires pixie dust. That means we need an elven gateway. That's bleh. Plus mana pearls, that takes ender pearls. So we're going to need to have enough ender pearls to deal with that. Redstone root, that's easy. Redstone and some grass or ferns. Cool stuff. Then we got these petals. We need the gray petal, yellow, green, and red. Then we need a rune of pride and a rune of greed. Now the rune of pride takes a rune of summer and fire, and then 2 mana diamonds. And summer is earth and air, plus 2 sand, a slime ball, and a melon slice. These aren't too bad. You can make slime balls via create. That's pretty easy. Rune of Fire is a mana steel, mana powder, nether wart, gunpowder, and nether brick. Now, I haven't been to the nether yet, so that's going to be something I need to do soon. And then there was also the rune of greed, which is a rune of water, mana powder, mana steel, bone meal, sugar cane, and a fishing rod. Pretty cheap. And then a rune of spring, some saplings of any kind, a little bit of wheat, and then another rune of water, and another rune of fire. But it's also a ton of mana. Tons and tons of mana. And that's the other part. The orchid requires tons and tons of mana. So the earlier I get in to high-end mana generation, the sooner I can get infinite resources. Now, I have plans on how to handle the creation and gathering and all that, and I'm probably, and I know I said I wasn't going to use it much last episode, but I'm probably going to get into create, because I have found some amazing ways to automate things with Botania using create. I went into a testing world earlier today, and I've already come up with a design on how to completely automate living rock 100%, place it and leave it and you're good, and you'll just generate it forever. And I can do the same thing with basically the same design for living wood. So that is a good chunk of Botania resources just taken care of all the time. So create is something that I need to do if I want to get into Botania in the long game, or in the long run. And create is something that I can kind of set aside for a little bit, which is strange because I was really looking forward to just diving headlong into it, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Now, I do have an old video from back in 1.12.2 on how to get started with Botania, and it looks like, for the most part, it hasn't changed that much. So rather than going through all the individual steps on how to get started and do all that, if you want to get some information, there's an old video, and I can maybe make an updated one soon if you want. But I'm just going to head right into it. I've collected every flower, and I'm just going to start generating mana and get this going. And I will come back once I've got some water-powered mana generation. I'll see you then. And there we have step 1 to Botania. This is the first bit of mana generation I tend to make, the first source anyway. I like using these hydrangeas. They take a water source from around them and they convert it into mana. Now, back in the day, you would see the source disappear. I don't really see that happening anymore. So maybe it doesn't work the same way as it did in the past, but this is how I've always made these pools. Because if it tries to pull from here, it'll refill there. Any corner, it'll always refill. You'll never have to worry about it. You put it down and then you forget about it for a few in-game days. These plants or these generating flora are unfortunately passive and therefore decay. Passively generating flora do not stick around, and in the Lexica Botania, which I've not made yet, it specifies that these will last for roughly 3 days before they decay, and I believe at that point they turn into a dead bush kind of thing. So you'll know it. You'll see it. You'll know it. So we have this for generating our first little bits of mana, but this is not sufficient. Usually I start out with like 4 of these little setups, and the 2 there and the 2 above them, and they feed into the same spreaders. That's how I tend to do it. This time I think I'm going to go straight into the Endo Flame, which is this guy right here. And that's going to get me a little bit more mana, but it is going to cost me some actual resources. At that point, I'm going to need to start pumping in some charcoal or some coal, or maybe set up a bamboo farm or something to that effect. But something that I'm going to really want to do, and let's see if I can get the name right. I think it's called a Thermal Lily. Yeah, the Thermal Lily. And that's going to take a couple of basic runes. So the Rune of Fire requires a little bit of nether trips, and a Rune of Earth, which I already have everything except for these 2 things ready to go. Now, I'm still going to have to work up some mana, and I'm going to have to make a runic altar, and that's going to require either a mana pearl or a mana diamond. Probably going to go with the diamond, to be honest. I don't have many ender pearls. Lots of people sleep on the server, which I personally like, so I don't have a lot of pearls to work with, and I haven't been to the nether to try going for a warped forest. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do Endo Flame for a little bit, and then I'm eventually going to get into the Thermal Lily, and then with the help of Create, I'm going to have a lot of fun producing a lot of power, or a lot of mana rather, with the Thermal Lily, because it consumes, if I'm looking at the right one, it consumes lava sources and produces a monstrous amount of mana, and using Create and some dripstone, I can have an infinite source of lava without too much effort. So the next thing I'm going to do, and this is probably going to involve another cut, and then suddenly more stuff is going to be put down, I'm going to get into Create. I'm sure all of you have seen 1,000 times how the early game of Create works. I'm going to get a water wheel connected up with a wind generator so I can get a bunch of stress units. I might look into making some infinite iron, little baby source of that. It's very slow, but it's very reliable. And then once I've got that going, I will start moving into the Copper Age, and I'd like to go into the Nether soon so that I can get some blazes to make some brass. At that point, I'm probably going to be done for today, but I think that's going to be the next step. So I'm gonna clear out this old ruin portal that's over here. Look how much free obsidian there is. Is there any in the corners? Oh, there's some in the corner, so I can just yoink that. That's pretty cool. Gonna have to remove this crying obsidian. And I did happen to spy, I haven't actually gone to it yet, somewhere out here, yeah, there should be a ruin portal underwater, roughly here. And then there's the shipwreck over here. I haven't looted it yet. Actually, I'm gonna go do that right now. I'll be right back. Alrighty. So here's the ruin portal. Got ourselves a chest, and logistics core, some compressed iron, a new chest plate, I do kind of need that, some coal, some wheat, a golden helmet, and some rotten flesh. Alright. Pretty basic stuff. The chest plate's nice, though. I like that. Let me break this just to be polite. Make sure that no one else tries to come and loot this. There we go. Alright, now let's go take a peek at this shipwreck. This is not one, I don't think, this is one that I've explored yet. I haven't actually checked it out, but I'm pretty sure I would have seen that portal. A ruined portal. Alright, so let's go straight into the captain's room. What do we got in here? I think this is the captain's room. Yep. Oh, nice. Compressed stone, iron, iron nuggets, or stone rather. Gold nuggets, iron ingots, a diamond, and a compressed iron helmet. I'm gonna drown. And then down here, there it is. Yep. There's this guy. What do we got? Ooh. Last cool. Ooh! There's a supply ship from mine colonies. That's a bit interesting, because now we can just plop a ship down out here. Little ironic that we find a ship inside a ship, but that's how it goes, I guess. And I don't think there's another one. I feel like there should be. Yeah, there we go. Let me break through the sand and I can stand in the doorway. Perfect. And what do we get? A buried treasure map. You know I do like these. Alright, let me break this chest. Oh, the game crashed. What is with chests and crashing my game? Okay, back crash is weird, but I am at the source of the buried treasure. So it should be right here. Hopefully I got this right. Yep. And you know what? That's not bad. That's a good bit of iron, another heart of the sea, another diamond, some emeralds. I already have it on these music discs, so I don't know if I really care enough about it to take. My iron sword is about to break, though. I've already planted some onions, so I don't really care about that. Flax, I think I've planted? And I do need cabbage, so I'm going to keep that. I'll get rid of this, keep that, and I'd like that. Cool. Torch. And let's go home. Alright, so before getting into create, I decided to go ahead and get my endo flame set up. I have made all of these at once. I have not actually tested this thing yet, but it should work. So the theory here is I put in what I want to burn into this hopper. I might put a chest above it. And I have... Well, that actually might not work. I have redstone going from underneath the pressure plate out and around. And I did it like that just so that I can have room to have all the flowers in one spot. Now, all of these... Ooh, they're not actually linked because I placed the spreader last. So if you place the spreader first, then they should link once they've been placed, but yeah, there we go. Now they're all looking at the correct spot. But yeah, the redstone will come out and then it will hit the hopper and that will turn the hopper off essentially. Whoop. So that way it doesn't keep dropping. See that? So it'll lay there, and then a flower will eat it, and then it'll wait, and then it'll eat it, and it'll wait. And this is an open crate from Botania, so whenever an item goes into it, its whole thing is it just drops on the ground. I did not mean to pick that up. Very, very cool. And so that is that. That will then start collecting that mana, and I'm going to bring that right there. And it should start shooting. There we go. So that's just a little extra mana generation. Probably a bit more than the hydrangeas, so you'll notice it is firing out much more than those are. So we are getting more mana out of that than probably both of these. Maybe this is about the same as the both of those. We'll see. But, I mean, that's a decent amount of mana we've built up. That's not bad. Do I have enough? I do have enough to make just a little bit of mana powder. And that didn't really consume a whole lot, so let's do just a few more. Perfect, because I'm going to need those here in a bit anyway. Now, one thing that I am going to want to do super fast, and hopefully I have enough, I'm going to need to be gathering a lot of resources in order to get into Create, and I think the best way for me to do that is to not need to worry about durability, right? And so in order to not have to worry about durability, let me make an extra crafting table, just so I can have this outside. In order to not have to worry about as much durability, I can very simply... Oh, here we go. I can very simply make a tool for that. And so here's the thing. If I have a mana tablet, and I set this here to inward, and I toss the tablet in, it will draw from that mana. There we go, and now I have a little bit of mana in this tablet. Now that did take quite a bit, so that might have actually kind of screwed me out of getting any mana steel. But in order to get mana steel, it is just as simple, and I keep checking my inventory to see if I didn't forget some, but I absolutely forgot some. You get a little bit of iron, and you throw it in a mana pool with a little bit of mana, and you get mana steel. And as long as you have a tablet on your person, then your tools will not take durability, because instead they will just cost you some mana. And so let me make a couple living wood twigs, and then a mana steel pickaxe. There we go. Perfect. So its harvest level is 5. I think that makes it equal to an iron. I don't know, but because I have mana here, this... Actually, yeah. So if I'm holding anything else, no? It's just so long as I have this? Cool. So you see right on my XP bar down at the bottom, there's a little bit of a blue line that's kind of pulsing a smidge. That shows my mana bar. So now, if I break this, no durability damage taken at all. So I can do all the mining I want, and hopefully, ooh, there's some hidden osmium, that's beautiful. Hopefully, this is going to be good enough to mine certain things. I doubt it's good enough to mine something like obsidian, so it's probably not the equivalent to a diamond pick, but I am... What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, I don't even have it on. Let's go. So yeah, I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in the mines now, and then I'm going to get... Or down there, I'm going to get a bunch of andesite, and I'm going to get as much iron as I can, maybe some extra copper. I'm going to utilize my new ore processor that I have from Mechanism, and I'm going to get started with Create, and when I come back, I should have a bunch of rotational power, and I'll show off my build, and then that should be that. How nice it is to fill up my mana tablet after a nice hard day's work. I got a lot done since the last clip, which was, to be fair, a couple days ago, but most of this was done within the past couple hours. I did go ahead and get a runic altar down, and I did, contrary to what I said before, end up using a mana pearl as opposed to a mana diamond because I started getting more endermen around, and I just had those a little bit more easily obtainable. But yeah, so I got some Create stuff going. I got a few water wheels. I have a very basic windmill generator set up, so I get some nice stress units. Now most of those stress units are already used up. I don't have any goggles yet. My head slot is actually being taken up by something I found down below. I have that turned off because it looks a little silly, to be honest. It's a little tall. But I got a couple things. I also got the Panic Necklace, increases the wearer's movement speed after taking damage. And the Superstitious Hat here applies an extra level of looting to killed entities, which is really cool. So whenever I kill Enderman now, I actually have a higher chance of getting Ender Pearl, and occasionally I'll get more than one, which is very nice. I have been to the Nether. There is a Nether fortress very close to the portal spawn. I'll show you that, or I can show you that in just a little bit. But I also got a blaze burner while I was out there. So I've got brass set up. I got some of that stuff over there. So you see I have a brass funnel. And that's what I'm using over here for my iron production. So check this out. It's only been running for a short bit of time, all things considered. And this over here is blocks of flint, because gravel, when washed, creates both flint and iron nuggets. And so I have these being compressed into blocks of flint. The blocks of flint is just, it's 9 flint done to make, what's this from? Supplementaries, to make a block. And it's just there for a little bit extra compactness, I guess. But right here I have a funnel, or I'm sorry, a tunnel with a filter on the front, and the filter is for flint and iron nuggets, so I just stick that on the side. And then right here, it's not showing for some reason, but right here I have a filter for an iron nugget, and over here I have it for flint, so that way it'll come out here and put the nuggets into this basin, and the flint goes into that one, and then once there's 9 in each one, it'll give a little stamp, and then move over. Okay, so it's showing this filter. I also have a filter added for the flint block and one right here for iron nugget, or iron ingot rather, because I know in the past in other mod packs, I've had issues with this turning into something else. I don't remember what it was, but just in case I added a filter. And over here, I have my cobblestone generator. So check this out. I went really far away, and I just so happened to found a mangrove swamp. I needed a slime for something. I'll talk about that later. And I got the mangrove roots, which you could waterlog, and it makes for really nice, compact cobblestone generators. I have a little bit of lava up there on the top, hidden just underneath this bar panel, which is kind of like a trapdoor, but metal and doesn't require redstone signal. It's very cheap to make, just a couple iron bars to make 2. It's very nice. I like them a lot. And yeah, that's my crate setup. I've got myself going. I did also set this area to be force loadable. As you see down there, I claimed the area and set it to force loadable. So hopefully this will run when I'm not online. I'm not going to do that to a lot of chunks because that can bog down a server. But hopefully I can just get this little bit to run when I'm offline, and maybe I'll get some more nuggies, or rather ingies, while I'm gone. And we'll look into that. Now, I do have one other thing planned, and it's not going to be this episode, it's going to be next time. But next time, I have this little suspicious bit of mud here. The mud itself isn't important, it's where the mud is. If you look up at my map, you'll notice I have my grids visible now. This chunk right here is special, and actually, let me go grab something and show you what that is. Okie doke, so I have this thing in my hotbar, this little bucket of slime. Now this is from Quark, and if you're not familiar with what this little guy does, or how to get it even, you get a bucket, you run over to a little tiny slime, and you scoop him up, and then he sits in your bucket, and it's great. And he just kind of sits there, and that's all he really does. Until you cross a certain boundary. Now look at him go. Look at that. He's getting all excited. You know why? Because this is a slime chunk. And this little slimy boy gets really happy whenever he's home. So I went really far out. Let's take a look here. All the way out here. With the help of a nature's compass, I found a swamp, which is also where the mangrove swamp was. And unrelated, there's a tiny little dark oak forest right here, so I can grab some of that. But I went out here, and I scooped up my slime, and then I came all the way back. It was quite a bit of a run. It's about 2,000 blocks, so it took a bit. And now I know that I have a slime chunk right next to my house. Now that's really good because of one particular flower, and I did go ahead and make myself a Lexica Botania. But under Generating Flora, there is this flower called the Narslimus. See where this is going? So I just need some green, some lime, and some black, along with a rune of summer and a rune of water. And I'm going to want, I think, 4 of these, if I'm remembering right. And what these do, you can read it right here, but essentially what these do is if a slime that was spawned within a slime chunk gets near this flower, the flower will consume the slime and produce mana. The bigger the slime, the more mana it produces, and to my knowledge, there's no cooldown. If there is slime, it eat and give you mana. So I covered that flower in an older video of mine, and what I'm planning on doing is taking this chunk and pushing it all the way down to bedrock. And then I'm going to go all the way down and put in some platforms and then plant some Narslimus and then have mana spreaders shooting all the way up here and take all the mana that's down there and bring it up to the surface. And that, I think, is going to be what I use to power an Elven Gateway. And that is going to be for next episode. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to get pretty hard into Britannia. And also, between episodes, I might go ahead and do a little bit more with Create and get some lava production set up because of the wonderful Thermal Lily. This baby right here. And the problem with this guy, though, it does consume lava. That's what we talked about before. There's a 5-minute cooldown period before it can consume and produce mana. Now, in between that 5 minutes, if you put more lava down, it will still consume the lava and then reset the cooldown, but it won't provide you any mana. So you have to time this pretty well. So every 5 minutes and 1 second or so, it spits out a bucket of lava for it to eat and produce lava or produce mana from. So we'll see how that goes, and I have ideas on how we're going to time that. There's this beautiful hourglass that exists in Britannia that I think I'm going to take advantage of. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes, and I'm going to have a good bit of fun with that. But I think that's all I'm going to cover for this episode. And next time, I will hopefully go ahead and have some lava production produced, or set up rather. I'll go over how that's done. And then I think we'll start producing some lava mana. And then I have plans for reducing that chunk to bedrock. I'm pretty excited about it. I'll see you then. Thank you everyone for being here. And have a good day. Bye-bye.